The Complaint Trap: Why We're All Addicted and How to Break Free. Book summary. What if your biggest frustrations were secretly the blueprint for your greatest successes? This book reveals how the destructive habit of complaining is draining your energy and blocking your path, and provides a revolutionary science-backed guide to transforming grapes into superpowers for a happier, wealthier, and radically more productive life. We all do it, over a morning coffee, in a team meeting, or to our partners at the end of a long day, we complain. It feels good, a momentary release that connects us through shared misery. But what if this seemingly harmless habit is the most significant obstacle standing between you and the life you desire? From the mind of celebrated productivity expert and former doctor Ali Erikson comes a perspective-shifting guide to breaking free from the tyranny of the everyday grape. Erikson begins with a raw confession. He was once a world-class complainer. As a junior doctor drowning in paperwork and 12-hour shifts, he discovered that his constant venting wasn't just a symptom of his stress, it was the cause. It was stealing his joy, sabotaging his focus, and repelling opportunities. This book unravels the seductive secret science of whining, revealing how our brains get a dopamine hit from negativity, locking us in a vicious cycle. Drawing on fascinating insights from neuroscience, ancient Stoic philosophy, and positive psychology, Erikson exposes complaining for what it is, a junk food habit for the mind that shrinks the very part of our brain responsible for problem solving. But this is not a book about toxic positivity. Instead, it's a toolkit for turning moans into momentum. Through hilarious, relatable, and often self-deprecating stories, from bombing a business pitch with a negativity spiral to turning a miserable, rain-soaked commute into a legendary tale, Erikson shows you how to reframe life's inevitable frustrations. Discover how to turn workplace woes into career breakthroughs, using your biggest on-the-job annoyances as fuel for innovation. Build complaint-free relationships that energize rather than drain you by transforming criticism into connection. Hack your health and finances by shifting from a mindset of scarcity and hassle to one of gratitude and abundance. Find peace in a world of chaos, channeling frustration about global issues into meaningful, empowering action. Packed with actionable, game-changing tools like the Complaint Audit, Appreciation Dates, and the Impact Challenge, this book is more than a guide. It's an invitation to join a rebellion against the subtle tyranny of negativity that holds us back. It's a roadmap to reclaiming your mental energy, deepening your relationships, and building an empire, whether of wealth, wellness, or inner peace, on a foundation of unshakable positivity. Are you ready to stop whining and start winning? Your complaint-free future awaits.
Introduction: The Complaint Trap: Why We're All Addicted and How to Break Free. Hey there, friend. If you've picked up this book, chances are you're on a quest to level up your life, to feel more energized, productive, and just plain happier. And if that's the case, I've got a confession to make right off the bat. I used to be a world-class complainer. Yep, the guy who's now all about feel-good productivity wasn't always so zen. Let me take you back to my days as a junior doctor in the UK's National Health Service. Picture this. It's a rainy Tuesday evening, I'm knee-deep in a 12-hour shift, and instead of focusing on the patients who actually needed me, I'm spending the entire time moaning to my colleagues about the mountain of paperwork piling up on my desk. This is ridiculous. Why do we have to fill out forms for every single thing? It's soul-crushing, I'd rant, feeling that temporary rush of camaraderie as everyone nodded along. By the end of the shift, I was exhausted, not just from the work, but from the emotional black hole I dug myself into. It hit me like a ton of bricks. Complaining wasn't solving anything. It was stealing my energy and joy, one gripe at a time. Sound familiar? If you've ever vented about a micromanaging boss over coffee with a friend, can you believe they made me redo that report for the third time? What a nightmare. Then you're in good company. We're all wired for this stuff. But here's the kicker. Complaining feels amazing in the moment. It's like a little dopamine hit, that feel-good chemical in your brain that lights up when you bond over shared misery. Studies from positive psychology back this up. Research from the University of California shows that venting can create a sense of social connection, releasing endorphins that make us feel temporarily better. It's basically the brain's version of junk food. Quick satisfaction, but zero nutritional value. The problem? It traps us in a vicious cycle. That same study found that chronic complainers end up more stressed, less resilient, and even physically unwell over time. It's like scrolling through social media. Fun for 5 minutes, but leave it unchecked, and suddenly your whole mood is in the gutter. Now, for a bit of entertainment to lighten things up, because who wants a productivity book that's all doom and gloom? Let me tell you about my mate, Alex. Alex is a great guy, smart, funny, the kind of person who'd make an excellent boyfriend. But oh boy, does he love to complain. A few years back, he went on a first date with this amazing woman he'd met through a mutual friend. The evening starts off well. Nice restaurant, good vibes. But then Alex launches into his signature monologue about his job, the annoying commute, the incompetent colleagues, and the endless emails. You won't believe what my boss did today. His eyes lighting up with that complainer's glee. By dessert, she's politely nodding, but her eyes are glazing over. The date ends early and, plot twist, she ghosts him. When I asked him what happened, he shrugged and said, "I don't know, we just didn't click." Buddy, you complained your way right out of a potential romance. We still laugh about it over beers, but it's a hilarious reminder complaining isn't just a solo sport. It can repel the very people and opportunities we want in our lives. Okay, enough laughs. Let's get inspired. If you're thinking, Ali, this all sounds great, but how do I actually stop? Enter the wisdom of the ancients. I've been a huge fan of Stoic philosophy ever since I stumbled upon Marcus Aurelius's meditations during a particularly tough rotation in med school. Marcus, the Roman emperor who ruled an empire while dealing with wars, plagues, and political drama, had this gem: reject your sense of injury, and the injury itself disappears. In other words, complaining is often just our interpretation of events, a story we tell ourselves. Instead of moaning about the rain ruining your plans, reframe it. This gives me a chance to cozy up with a book. Marcus didn't build one of history's greatest empires by whining about his problems. He reframed them into opportunities for growth. Fast forward to today, and modern psychology echoes this. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, techniques show that shifting from complaint mode to gratitude mode can rewire your brain for positivity, boosting everything from your mood to your productivity. It's not about ignoring real issues, it's about choosing not to let them define you. So, what's the plan? I want this chapter to be more than just words on a page. I want it to spark real change. That's why we're kicking things off with an actionable takeaway: the complaint audit. It's simple, fun, yes, even audits can be fun, and eye-opening. For the next week, grab a notebook or your phone's notes app and track every single complaint that crosses your mind or lips. Jot down what it was about, how it made you feel, and, crucially, what you could reframe it as. For example, complaint: traffic is the worst. I'm going to be late again. Reframe: this extra time in the car is perfect for listening to that podcast I've been meaning to catch up on. At the end of the week, review your list. You'll probably be shocked at how much mental real estate complaining occupies and how freeing it feels to let it go. Trust me, I did this myself back in my doctor days, and it was a game changer. Suddenly, those paperwork piles didn't seem so soul-crushing. They became just another task to tackle with a smile. As we dive deeper into this chapter, we'll unpack more strategies to break free from the complaint trap, from building a gratitude muscle to surrounding yourself with positive influences. You'll laugh at more stories, including my epic fails, relate to the everyday struggles we all face, and walk away inspired to turn your gripes into growth. Because here's the truth: life throws curveballs at all of us, but it's how we respond that builds empires, whether that's your career, your relationships, or just your inner peace. Ready to break free? Let's do this.
Chapter 1, The Science of Whining, Why Your Brain Loves to Complain, and How to Hack It. Hey friend, welcome back to our journey out of the complaint trap. If the intro left you nodding along or maybe chuckling at my paperwork meltdown, then buckle up because we're about to geek out on the brain science behind why we all love a good whine. Trust me, understanding this stuff isn't just fascinating, it's the key to hacking your way to a more positive, productive life. As someone who's gone from chronic complainer to feel-good productivity advocate, I've seen firsthand how tweaking your brain's wiring can turn everyday gripes into fuel for growth. Let's dive in, shall we? First off, let's talk neuroscience, because who doesn't love a bit of brain talk to kick things off? Picture your brain as this incredible, squishy supercomputer that's evolved over millennia to keep you safe and social. When you complain, say about that endless Zoom meeting or the barista who got your coffee order wrong, it actually lights up your brain's reward centers, much like chowing down on a greasy burger or binge-watching your favorite show. Studies from neuroscientists at Stanford University show that venting releases dopamine, that same hit you get from likes on Instagram. It's a quick win for connection. Ugh, traffic sucks, you say to a colleague, and boom, instant bonding. But here's the not-so-fun plot twist. Chronic complaining can literally shrink your hippocampus, the brain region responsible for memory, learning, and, crucially, problem-solving. Research published in the journal Nature Neuroscience links prolonged negativity to this shrinkage, making it harder to think creatively or bounce back from setbacks. It's like feeding your brain junk food all day. Sure, it tastes good, but over time, it clogs up the works and leaves you sluggish. Relatable much? Oh, absolutely. Think about your last scroll through social media. You're innocently checking updates, and suddenly you're knee-deep in envy. Why does everyone else's life look so perfect? Look at Sarah's beach vacation. My job is a grind, and I'm stuck here eating sad desk salads. That comparison game is prime complaint territory, and it's something I used to fall into all the time during my med school days. I'd see friends posting about their glamorous travels while I was buried in textbooks, and I'd spiral into a pity party. Why me? This is unfair. Sound like you? You're not alone. A study from the American Psychological Association found that social media fuels negative self-talk in over 70% of users, turning harmless scrolling into a complaint fest that drains your mental energy. But let's not get too serious yet. I promised entertainment, and I've got a story that'll have you laughing or at least cringing in solidarity. Back when I was a fresh-faced doctor commuting through London's infamous rain, I decided to positive think my way out of my usual moaning. It was one of those classic British downpours, the kind where umbrellas flip inside out and your socks end up soggier than a drowned rat. Normally, I'd complain the whole tube ride. This weather is rubbish. Why does it always rain when I'm late? But inspired by some self-help book, I vowed to reframe it. Okay, Ali, this rain is refreshing. It's like a free shower. I stepped out of my flat with a forced grin, umbrella in hand, chanting positive affirmations like a cartoon character. First mishap. Wind gust flips the umbrella, soaking me head to toe. No worries, it's hydrating my skin, I mutter. Then a double-decker bus splashes a puddle the size of a small lake, right over my trousers. Great, now I'm one with nature. By the time I reached the hospital, I looked like I'd swum there, and my positive thinking had devolved into hysterical laughter at my own expense. Colleagues thought I'd lost it, but hey, it beat complaining and it turned a miserable commute into a story I still tell for laughs. Moral: sometimes forcing positivity backfires hilariously, but it plants the seed for real change. Now for the inspiration, because who better to draw from than the godfather of positive psychology himself, Martin Seligman. In his groundbreaking work on learned optimism, Seligman, a professor at the Pennsylvania University, shows that people who ditch the complaint habit aren't just happier, they live longer, healthier lives. His research, spanning decades and thousands of participants, reveals that optimists, those who focus on solutions over gripes, have stronger immune systems, lower rates of depression, and even better career success. One study from his team found that non-complainers outlive chronic whiners by an average of 10 years. Why? Because complaining keeps you stuck in learned helplessness, where you feel powerless.
Optimism, on the other hand, trains your brain to see challenges as temporary and solvable. It's like upgrading from a rusty old bike to a sleek electric one. Suddenly, hills don't seem so daunting. Seligman's lessons tie in right to the feel-good productivity I've championed in my books. When you stop complaining, you free up mental bandwidth for what really matters, like pursuing that side hustle or nurturing relationships. Of course, to make this stick, we need to learn the lessons, starting with spotting your complaint triggers. These are the sneaky culprits that flip your brain into whine mode. Fatigue is a big one. Ever notice how everything seems worse when you're running on empty? Or comparison, like that social media trap I mentioned. Other triggers include unmet expectations, like this meeting should have been an email, or even hanger. Yes, low blood sugar can turn you into a complaint machine. By identifying these, you can intercept them before they snowball. It's a core lesson from my productivity philosophy. Awareness is the first step to action. And speaking of action, let's wrap this up with some brain hacks you can try today. My favorite one, the 5-minute gratitude journaling ritual. It's dead simple and backed by science. Set a timer for 5 minutes each morning or evening and jot down 3 things you're grateful for, no matter how small. I'm thankful for my cozy bed, that hot cup of coffee, and the friend who texted me funny memes. Research from UC Berkeley shows this practice rewires your neural pathways, strengthening your prefrontal cortex, your positivity HQ, and countering that hippocampus shrinkage. Over time, it builds what I call your gratitude muscle, making positivity your default setting. Pair it with a trigger blocker. When you spot a complaint coming on, pause and ask, what's one good thing here? It's like hitting the reset button on your brain. There you have it, the science of whining, decoded and ready for you to hack. We've laughed at my rainy escapades, related to those envy-fueled scrolls, and gotten inspired by Seligman's wisdom. But this is just the beginning. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to build habits that make never complain second nature. Remember, friend, your brain might love a good whine, but it thrives on positivity. Let's rewire it together, one grateful thought at a time. What's your first gratitude entry?
Chapter 2, From Moan to Momentum, Turning Complaints into Superpowers. Hey there, productivity pal. If you've been following along from our brain hacking adventure in the last chapter, you're probably already spotting those complaint triggers and jotting down gratitudes like a pro. But here's where things get really exciting. What if I told you that your biggest moans aren't just energy drains? They're actually disguised superpowers waiting to be unleashed. That's right, we're flipping the script today. Instead of letting complaints hold you back, we'll learn how to transform them into momentum that propels you forward. As someone who's built a career out of turning ugh moments into aha breakthroughs, I can promise you this mindset shift is a game changer. It's at the heart of the feel-good productivity I've written about in my books, where challenges become catalysts for growth, not roadblocks. Let's turn those gripes into gold, shall we? Let me start with a personal story that still makes me smile and cringe a little. A few years into my YouTube journey, I hit a wall of burnout. I was juggling my doctor shifts with filming videos, and the complaints were flowing like a broken faucet. This is exhausting. Why am I spending hours editing when I could be sleeping? No one's even watching these anyway. I'd moan to anyone who'd listen, my girlfriend, my brother, even the barista at my local coffee shop. It felt cathartic, but it was also keeping me stuck in a rut of resentment. Then, one sleepless night, I decided to flip it. What if this burnout was a signal that I needed to shake things up? Instead of complaining, I channeled that frustration into experimenting with a new video style, something raw and real about my own struggles with productivity. I called it How I Manage My Time as a Doctor and YouTuber, pouring in all the gritty details I'd been griping about. The result? It went viral, racking up millions of views and kickstarting the community that led to my books and courses. That complaint didn't just vanish, it became the spark for my most impactful work. If I hadn't reframed it, I'd still be moaning instead of mentoring thousands on feel-good productivity. Sound relatable? If you're like most of my readers, ambitious folks juggling a day job with side hustles, dreams, and maybe a family thrown in, you've probably uttered the classic, "I don't have time for this." Whether it's squeezing in that online course after work or finally starting that blog, time complaints are the ultimate productivity killer. I hear it all the time in my community. Ali, between my 9 to 5 and my Etsy shop, I'm swamped. How do you do it? It's easy to spiral into, "This is impossible, life's too busy." But here's the truth. That complaint is often a hidden opportunity to audit their priorities and get creative. We've all been there, scrolling Netflix instead of hustling because there's no time, only to realize we're leaking hours on low-value stuff. By flipping it, you turn scarcity into strategy, and that's where the magic happens. Now for a dose of entertainment to keep things light, because transformation shouldn't feel like a chore. Let me tell you about my entrepreneur buddy, Raj. Raj runs a tech startup, and like many of us, he used to dread his weekly team meetings. "These are so boring," he'd complain endlessly. "Everyone just drones on about metrics. It's like watching paint dry." One day, fed up with his own whining, he decided to gamify the whole thing. He turned the meetings into impromptu comedy sketches, assigning roles like the overly enthusiastic intern or the skeptical CFO to his team with props and silly accents. What started as a joke, picture Raj in a fake mustache pretending to be a villainous competitor, actually made the sessions fun and productive. Ideas flowed, morale skyrocketed, and get this, his team started looking forward to Mondays. Raj didn't just stop complaining, he turned those dull hours into a highlight, boosting his company's culture and even landing a viral LinkedIn post about it. We still crack up over beers recounting his first sketch gone wrong. Cue the intern accidentally knocking over a coffee during a dramatic monologue. If Raj can turn meetings into stand-up, imagine what you could do with your gripes. All right, let's amp up the inspiration with a timeless hero, Thomas Edison, the wizard of invention who literally lit up the world. You know the story. Edison failed over 1,000 times trying to perfect the light bulb. But did he complain? Nope. Instead, he famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 1,000 ways that won't work." In an era without modern tech or safety nets, Edison reframed every setback as a step closer to success. His non-complaining resilience didn't just birth the light bulb. It revolutionized society, paving the way for everything from movies to electric power. Drawing from history like this is a staple in my books. It reminds us that the greats weren't superhuman. They just mastered the art of turning moans into momentum. Modern studies echo this. Research from Harvard Business Review shows that resilient leaders who reframe challenges as opportunities are 30% more likely to innovate and succeed. Edison's lesson? Complaints keep you in the dark. Reframing flips on the light. At its core, this chapter's big lesson is that reframing isn't just a nice to have. It's a skill for building unbreakable resilience. It's about shifting from victim mode, where everything happens to you, to creator mode, where you shape your response. This ties directly into the productivity principles I've shared before. When you reframe, you reclaim your energy for what matters, turning potential pitfalls into personal power-ups. Practice it, and you'll notice complaints losing their grip, replaced by a sense of control and excitement. To make this actionable, because theory without practice is like a gym membership you never use, let's introduce the Complaint Flip Worksheet. It's a simple tool you can download from my website or just sketch out on paper. Here's how it works. Divide a page into 2 columns. On the left, list your top complaints. Be honest, like this task is tedious and pointless. On the right, flip it. This builds my discipline muscle and frees up time for fun stuff later. Or for that I don't have time gripe, flip to, what if I audit my day for 10-minute wins? That could carve out space for my side hustle. Do this for 5 complaints a day and review weekly. I've used variations of this in my own life, and it's transformed how I approach everything from emails to exercise. Pro tip? Make it fun. Add emojis or doodles to keep the energy high. Whew, what a ride! From my burnout breakthrough to Raj's meeting mayhem and Edison's electric wisdom, you've related to those time crunches, laughed at the absurdity, and hopefully felt inspired to flip your own script. Remember, friend, every complaint is a clue to untapped potential. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to build a complaint-free environment with the people around you. Until then, grab that worksheet and start flipping. Your superpowers are waiting. What's one complaint you're ready to transform today?
Chapter 3. The Complaint-Free Social Circle. How your friends and frenemies shape your mindset. Hey friend, if you've been following along from the intro and our brain hacking adventure in Chapter 1, you're probably starting to see how complaining sneaks into every corner of life. We've talked about the personal toll, the dopamine hits, the hippocampus shrinkage, and those sneaky triggers. But here's where it gets really interesting and a bit sneaky. Complaining isn't just a solo habit. It's wildly contagious, like a bad cold in a crowded office. Ever notice how one whiny coworker can turn the whole team's vibe from productive to pessimistic in under 5 minutes? This deadline is impossible, they moan, and suddenly everyone's chiming in with their own gripes. Before you know it, the break room is a full-on complaint convention. In this chapter, we're zooming out to your social world because the people you surround yourself with, they shape your mindset more than you might think. As someone who's built a career around feel-good productivity, I've learned that curating a complaint-free circle isn't just nice to have, it's essential for leveling up your life. Let's unpack this, shall we? Let me start with a confession from my own life, because if there's one thing I know, it's that we all relate to those oops moments in our social circles. Back in med school, my study group and I accidentally formed what we jokingly called the Complaint Club. It started innocently enough. We'd meet up in the library to cram for exams, but instead of diving into anatomy notes, we'd kick off with a round of venting. "These lectures are so boring," one friend would say. "Yeah, and the professors don't even care if we understand," I'd add, feeling that familiar rush of shared misery. It bonded us, sure, but it nearly derailed our studies. Our sessions turned into gripe fests, and productivity out the window. By the end of one particularly bad week, we were all stressed, demotivated, and, plot twist, our grades started slipping. It took a wake-up call from a mentor who basically said, "Stop whining and start winning," for us to realize we created a toxic echo chamber. We weren't solving problems, we were amplifying them. Sound familiar? If you're in a high-pressure job or scrolling through social media feeds full of hashtag hustle culture complaints like "burnout is real, guys," you know exactly what I mean. Those environments can make negativity feel normal, but they quietly sabotage your energy and growth. In my books, I've always emphasized that productivity isn't about grinding harder. It's about creating environments that energize you. A complaint-heavy circle? That's the opposite. It's like trying to run a marathon with weights tied to your ankles. But let's inject some fun here, because I don't want this chapter to feel like a lecture. For entertainment, picture this hilarious dinner party I hosted a couple of years ago, right after I'd started my YouTube channel. I'd invited a mix of friends, some positive vibes only, others, well, let's say they were complaint enthusiasts. Things started civil, good food, great wine, but then one guest kicked off with, "Ugh, London traffic is the worst. I was stuck for hours." Not to be outdone, another chimed in with, "Tell me about it. My commute is a nightmare, and don't get me started on the weather." Before long, it escalated into absurd hypotheticals. What if gravity complained? Like, "I'm tired of holding everything down," someone quipped, mimicking a whiny voice. We all burst out laughing as it got sillier. What if coffee complained about being too hot? Or imagine emails griping like,
Why do I have to be so urgent? By the end, we were in stitches, tears streaming down our faces. It was ridiculous, over-the-top fun, but it highlighted how complaints can snowball into comedy or catastrophe, depending on the crowd. We laughed it off, but it was a light bulb moment. Surround yourself with chronic complainers, and even the absurd becomes your norm. Now, for the inspiration, because nothing motivates like timeless wisdom. Enter Dale Carnegie and his classic How to Win Friends and Influence People, a book that's been a game changer for me since I first read it during my productivity experiments. Carnegie, writing back in the 1930s, nailed it. Any fool can criticize, condemn, and complain, and most fools do. But the real influencers, they build empires by focusing on the positive. Non-complainers, he argues, win people over by showing genuine appreciation, which creates loyalty and opens doors. Think about it. Historical figures like Abraham Lincoln or modern icons like Oprah Winfrey didn't rise to the top by moaning about obstacles. They cultivated uplifting networks that amplified their strengths. Carnegie's research-backed advice shows that praising others boosts your own happiness too, creating a virtuous cycle. It ties perfectly into the lessons from my books. Feel-good productivity thrives in positive environments. By ditching complaints, you don't just feel better, you attract opportunities and build empires of influence in your own life, whether that's advancing your career or strengthening friendships. The big lesson here? Curate relationships that uplift you. It's not about cutting people off coldly, we're not robots, but about being intentional. Surround yourself with folks who inspire solutions over sympathy, gratitude over gripes. In my experience, this shift doesn't just reduce your own complaining, it supercharges your motivation and resilience. Ready to make it actionable? Let's wrap up with 2 practical takeaways you can start today. First, the Vibe Check Guide. Take 10 minutes to audit your social circle. List out your top 10 contacts, friends, colleagues, even online follows, and rate them on a scale of 1 to 5 for how often conversations turn positive versus complaining. Ask yourself, does this person energize me or drain me? If someone's a constant downer, consider limiting time with them or gently steering talks elsewhere. It's like pruning a garden. Make space for the good stuff to grow. Second, start appreciation chains in your conversations. Next time you're chatting, kick off with something positive. Hey, I loved how you handled that project. What went well for you? It sets a tone that encourages uplift, and research from positive psychology shows that it can shift group dynamics in as little as 1 interaction. I do this in my team meetings now, and it's transformed our vibe from gripe-heavy to goal-oriented. There you have it, your guide to building a complaint-free social circle. We've related to those toxic vibes, laughed at absurd dinner party antics, and drawn inspiration from Carnegie's empire-building wisdom. Remember, friend, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, as Jim Rohn famously said. Choose wisely and watch your mindset and your life soar. Up next, we'll tackle how to handle complaints when life really throws curveballs. What's one appreciation you'll share today? Let's keep the positivity rolling.
Chapter 4. Work woes be gone. Never complain your way to career bliss. Hey there, ambitious friend. If you're reading this, you're probably no stranger to the daily grind of work life. Whether you're a corporate climber staring down a never-ending inbox, a remote worker juggling Zoom calls from your kitchen table, or an entrepreneur hustling through the ups and downs of building something from scratch, we've all been there. That moment when you mutter under your breath, "My boss is impossible," or "This deadline is killing me." Work woes are universal, and complaining about them? It's like the office water cooler ritual. But here's the thing. As someone who's built a productivity empire from the ashes of my own complaints, I can tell you that ditching the moans isn't just about feeling better. It's about unlocking career bliss and real tangible success. In this chapter, we'll turn those gripes into gold with stories that'll make you laugh, inspire you to push through, and arm you with tools to pivot like a pro. Let's get to work. Pun absolutely intended. Let me start with my own tale of transformation, because if I can go from moaning medic to YouTube sensation and author, so can you. Back in my junior doctor days at the NHS, bureaucracy was my arch nemesis. Endless forms, outdated systems, and red tape that made simple tasks feel like climbing Everest in flip-flops. I'd complain nonstop. Why do we have to log every single patient note by hand? This is archaic. It drained me, left me resentful, and honestly made me a less effective doctor. But one day, after a particularly gripe-filled shift, I had an epiphany, fueled by too much coffee and a dash of desperation. Instead of complaining, what if I innovated? I started small, hacking my own productivity systems like digitizing notes on my phone and creating quick templates. That spark led to sharing tips online, which snowballed into my YouTube channel, books, and courses, basically the feel-good productivity world I live in now. By reframing complaints as opportunities, I didn't just survive the grind, I built an empire around fixing it. If you're feeling stuck in your job, this is your sign. Your biggest complaints could be the blueprint for your breakthrough. Relatable? Oh, heck yes. Especially if you're one of the millions navigating remote work or the entrepreneurial roller coaster. Picture this. You're working from home, the Wi-Fi glitches mid-presentation, and your inner voice screams, "Why does this always happen to me? Remote life sucks." Or, as an entrepreneur, you pitch your brilliant idea only to hear crickets, or worse, a flat-out rejection, and think, this industry is rigged, no one gets it. I've heard from so many in my community who echo this. The burnout from endless virtual meetings, the sting of failed launches, the quiet despair of feeling undervalued. A survey from Gallup shows that over 70% of workers experience some form of disengagement, often fueled by these unchecked complaints. But here's the good news. Recognizing them is the first step to flipping the script. Now for some entertainment to keep things light, because work talk can get heavy fast. Let me regale you with the comedy of errors that was my first failed business pitch. This was early in my side hustle days, when I was still a doctor by day and aspiring entrepreneur by night. I'd come up with what I thought was a genius idea for medical students, a study tool to make revision fun. Pumped up, I booked a meeting with a potential investor, rehearsed my pitch, and showed up in my best professional outfit, which, let's be honest, was just a clean shirt over scrubs. Things started okay, but then the questions came. What's your monetization strategy? How will you scale? Instead of staying cool, I panicked and defaulted to complaints. Well, the app market is so saturated, it's impossible for newbies like me. And don't get me started on Apple's fees. They're highway robbery, I ranted, turning what should have been a confident presentation into a whiny stand-up routine. The investor's face? Priceless. A mix of confusion and pity. He politely declined and I slunk out, mortified. But looking back, it's hilarious. I literally complained my way out of funding. We still joke about it in my team meetings, and it's a reminder that complaints don't impress, they deflate. If you've ever bombed a pitch or meeting with a negativity spiral, laugh it off. It's all part of the journey. Shifting gears to inspiration, let's talk about someone who turned rejection into magic without a single public complaint. J.K. Rowling. Before Harry Potter became a global phenomenon, Rowling was a single mom on welfare, scribbling her manuscript in Edinburgh cafes. She faced 12 publisher rejections. That's 12 no's that could have crushed anyone's spirit. Your book is too long, they said. Kids won't read fantasy like this. But Rowling didn't complain. She persisted. In interviews, she shared how she used those setbacks as fuel, refining her story and believing in its potential. The result? A series that sold over 500 million copies, spawned movies, theme parks, and a legacy of inspiration. Her story echoes the lessons from my books. Resilience isn't about avoiding pain. It's about not letting complaints define it. As Walling put it, rock bottom became the solid foundation on which I rebuilt my life. If she can wizard her way through that, imagine what you could achieve by channeling your work woes into wizardry of your own. So, what's the big lesson here?
Use complaints as fuel for innovation. Instead of venting about a problem, ask, how can I fix this? It's a core principle of feel-good productivity, turning negativity into actionable energy. Complaints highlight pain points. Innovation solves them. Remember my NHS hacks? That mindset shift didn't just ease my days, it launched my career. Apply it to yours. That impossible boss might inspire you to negotiate better boundaries or even start your own venture. To make this practical, here's your actionable takeaway. Productivity pivots. This is a simple framework to transform common work complaints into systems that boost your bliss. Start by listing your top 3 gripes, like, I hate deadlines, they stress me out. Then, pivot. Reframe it as an opportunity and pair it with a proven tool. For deadlines, try the Pomodoro technique, which I've raved about in my books. Work in 25-minute focused bursts with 5-minute breaks. Suddenly, I hate deadlines becomes I crush deadlines with Pomodoro power, turning dread into doable chunks. Another example, my inbox is overwhelming. Pivots to I'll batch emails twice a day using the Eisenhower matrix to prioritize. Do this for a week and watch your career energy soar. It's not magic, it's mindset, backed by productivity research showing that such pivots increase job satisfaction by up to 30%. There you have it, friend, a roadmap to banish work woe and step into career bliss. We've related to the grind, laughed at pitch fails, and drawn inspiration from Rawlings' resilience. Now, it's your turn. Grab that notebook, list those complaints, and pivot them into power. Remember, the most successful people aren't complaint-free. They just don't let complaints stop them. In the next chapter, we'll tackle how this no-complain vibe spills into your personal life. Until then, what's one work woe you're pivoting today? Let's build that empire one positive step at a time.
Chapter 5. Love and Complaints. Building relationships that don't drain you. Hey there, friend. If you've been with me through the earlier chapters, you know we're on this mission to ditch complaining and unlock a life that's more energized, productive, and genuinely joyful. We've hacked our brains, audited our gripes, and even laughed at my soggy London commutes. But now, let's get real about where complaining hits hardest. Our relationships. Whether it's romantic partnerships, family ties, or friendships, those little or not so little whines like, my partner never listens, or why does my sibling always flake, can sabotage the very connections that make life worth living. As someone who's learned this the hard way, I'm excited to share how shifting from complaints to compassion can build relationships that lift you up instead of draining you dry. Let's jump in with a confession from yours truly. Okay, picture this. Early in my relationship with my now wife, I was still in that overworked junior doctor phase, juggling crazy shifts and zero sleep. I'd come home exhausted, and instead of appreciating the fact that she had dinner ready or just wanted to hear about my day, I'd launch into a litany of tiny complaints. The dishes are piling up again. Can't you see I'm swamped? Or, why do you always leave your shoes by the door? It's like a tripping hazard. It felt justified in the moment, like I was just venting, but it built up until one evening it backfired in the most hilarious way. We were supposed to have a cozy movie night, but I started moaning about how the remote was always lost. Spoiler, it was under my own cushion. She paused, looked at me with those patient eyes, and said, Elise, if you complain one more time, I'm turning this into a complaint-free zone by hiding all your favorite snacks. Sure enough, the next day, my secret stash of chocolate was gone, replaced by a note, found, your positivity, missing, complaints. I searched the flat like a detective in a comedy sketch, laughing my head off as I uncovered clues leading to the fridge. It was a light bulb moment. My nitpicking wasn't solving anything. It was pushing away the person I cared about most. We still joke about the great snack heist, but it taught me that complaints and love are like slow leaks in a boat. Ignore them, and you sink. If that rings a bell, you're not alone, especially if you're navigating the wild world of dating apps or the ongoing drama of family gatherings. Think about swiping through Tinder or Hinge, where one bad date leads to a vent session with friends.
Everyone on here is so flaky. Why can't I find someone normal? Or those holiday dinners where you gripe about your mom's unsolicited advice. She always criticizes my career choices. It's exhausting. These are universal struggles, right? A study from the Gottman Institute, which has researched relationships for over 40 years, shows that couples who complain frequently, especially with criticism or contempt, are far more likely to split up. It's relatable because relationships are messy. We're all just humans trying to connect amid the chaos of work, stress, and life. But here's the good news. Recognizing this pattern is the first step to flipping the script. Now, for some entertainment to keep things fun, let me tell you about my friends Sarah and Tom, who turned complaining into a game that had us all in stitches. They were that couple always bickering about little things. You never take out the trash. Well, you always hog the blankets. It was draining their marriage until they invented the complaint jar. The rules? Every time one of them complained, they had to write it on a slip of paper, drop it in the jar, and pay a £1 fine that went toward date nights. But here's where it got hilarious. At the end of the month, they'd empty the jar and turn it into a treasure hunt of laughs. They'd read the complaints aloud, exaggerating them like bad actors in a soap opera. Oh no, the trash is my mortal enemy! And then brainstorm silly solutions like choreographing a trash dance to make bin duty fun. One time, Tom complained about Sarah's blanket hogging so much that they ended up buying glow-in-the-dark blankets and turning bedtime into a glow party. We were over for dinner when they demoed it, and I nearly snorted wine out of my nose from laughing. What started as a gripe fest became a bonding ritual, proving that a dash of humor can transform complaints into connection gold. Shifting gears to inspiration. If there's one story that shows the true power of choosing not to complain in the face of adversity, it's from Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. Frankl, a psychiatrist who survived the horrors of Nazi concentration camps, wrote about how, even in the darkest circumstances, we have the freedom to choose our attitude. Amid imaginable suffering, starvation, brutality, loss, Frankl observed that those who refused to complain, who instead focused on inner purpose and empathy, were more likely to endure and find meaning. He wrote, "Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances." It wasn't about denying the pain, it was about not letting complaints amplify it. This timeless insight has inspired me deeply, especially in my own relationships. Research from positive psychology echoes Frankl. Studies show that couples who practice empathy, understanding each other's perspectives, over criticism report higher satisfaction and longevity in their bonds. It's a lesson straight from my feel-good productivity playbook. When you foster empathy, you build resilience, turning potential conflicts into opportunities for deeper connection. So, what lessons can we pull from all this? The big one is to foster empathy over criticism. Complaints often stem from unmet needs or misunderstandings, like feeling unheard or unappreciated. Instead of saying, "You never listen," try, "I feel disconnected when we don't chat about our days. Can we make time for that?" This shift, backed by communication experts like those at the Harvard Negotiation Project, reduces defensiveness and opens doors to real solutions. It's about seeing the human behind the habit, which aligns with the core idea in my books. Productivity and happiness thrive when we approach life and people with kindness and curiosity. To make this actionable, let's introduce appreciation dates, a simple ritual that's transformed my own relationship and those of countless readers who've tried it. Schedule a dedicated time each week or month if weekly feels too much, to sit down with your partner, family member, or friend and voice appreciations instead of gripes. Set a timer for 10 to 15 minutes, take turns sharing 3 things you appreciate about each other. Specific and heartfelt, like, "I love how you always make me laugh after a tough day," or "I'm grateful for your support during my busy work week." No complaints allowed. If one slips in, playfully redirect it to a positive. Research from the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology shows that expressing gratitude strengthens bonds and boosts mutual happiness. It's easy, fun, and a total game changer. Think of it as relationship maintenance, like oiling a bike chain to keep things running smoothly. There you have it, friend. We've related to those dating app woes and family frustrations, laughed at snack heists and complaint jars, and drawn inspiration from Frankel's unbreakable spirit. By choosing empathy and appreciation over complaints, you're not just saving your relationships, you're building ones that energize you and inspire you. In the next chapter, we'll tackle how this mindset plays out at work. For now, who's the first person you're planning an appreciation date with? Let's make love a complaint-free zone, one grateful word at a time.
Chapter 6. Health Hacks Without the Hassle. Ditch complaints for a feel-good body and mind. Hey friend, if you've made it this far in our Never Complain adventure, give yourself a pat on the back. We've hacked our brains, strengthened our relationships, and now it's time to turn that positivity lens on something we all deal with, our health. Whether you're chasing that elusive six-pack, trying to eat more greens, or just aiming to feel more energized in your busy life, complaining can be the ultimate saboteur. I've been there, moaning about early morning workouts or that kale smoothie tasting like lawn clippings, until I realized reframing those gripes turned hassle into heck yeah. In this chapter, we'll explore how ditching complaints can supercharge your body and mind, making wellness feel less like a chore and more like a joyful habit. Let's get into it, shall we? Let's start with the cold, hard truth. Complaining about health stuff keeps us stuck in a rut. Think about it. How many times have you said, "Ugh, I hate the gym. It's so boring and sweaty," only to skip your session and feel even worse? Or, "This diet is torture. Why can't I just eat pizza forever?" I get it because I've lived it. Back in my junior doctor days with shifts that left me exhausted, I'd complain endlessly about fitting in exercise. "Who has time for this? My legs are killing me from standing all day," I'd whine to anyone who'd listen, turning potential workouts into excuses. But research from the Journal of Behavioral Medicine shows that negative self-talk around health habits amplifies stress hormones like cortisol, which not only makes you feel drained, but can lead to weight gain and weakened immunity. It's a vicious cycle. Complain, feel bad, avoid the habit, complain more. Breaking it, that's where the magic happens, and it starts with mindset. This is super relatable if you're juggling a packed schedule like most of us. In today's world of endless notifications, remote work marathons, and that constant pull to do more, wellness fatigue is real. Maybe you're a parent squeezing in a run between school drop-offs and Zoom calls, or a student powering through exams while trying to eat healthy on a budget. Why is being fit so hard? Everyone else seems to have it figured out, you might think, scrolling past those flawless Instagram influencers. I used to fall into that trap too, comparing my sporadic gym visits to fitness gurus online. But here's the thing, complaining doesn't bridge the gap, it widens it. A study from Harvard Medical School found that people who approach health with optimism, read less whining, are 50% more likely to stick with habits long-term. It's about shifting from "this sucks" to "this is investing in me." And trust me, it makes all the difference in a busy life. Now for some entertainment to keep things light, because health talks can get preachy, and we're not about that here. Let me share my spectacularly failed no-complaint diet experiment. A couple of years ago, inspired by this very philosophy, I decided to go a whole month without moaning about food. No griping about salads or protein shakes, only positive vibes. Day 1, I whip up a veggie-packed stir-fry, determined to reframe it. "This is nourishing, fuel for my brain," I tell myself. But as I chomp on a particularly tough broccoli floret, my inner comedian takes over. "Hey, this broccoli is basically a tiny tree. I'm like a giraffe in the savannah," I say out loud, alone in my kitchen. By day 3, it's escalated. I'm doing impressions of vegetables at dinner. "Hello, I'm Mr. Carrot, here to crunch your way to supervision." My flatmate walks in, catches me mid-bite, and we both dissolve into laughter. The diet? Well, I stuck with it longer than usual because it turned into a game, but not without mishaps, like the time I accidentally turned a kale smoothie into a green mustache disaster during a video call. "Ali, you look like the Hulk's cousin," my colleague joked.
It was hilarious, and it taught me that injecting fun into health hacks beats complaining hands down. Who knew veggies could double as stand-up material? All right, laughs aside, let's get inspired by someone who's mastered this on a whole other level. Tennis legend Serena Williams. If there's anyone who could have complained their way through a career, it's Serena, dealing with injuries, intense training, and the physical toll of dominating a sport for decades. But instead of whining about the pain, she powers through with the mindset of resilience. In interviews, she shared how she reframes setbacks. Pain is temporary. Quitting lasts forever. It's not just motivational fluff, science backs it. A profile in sports medicine highlights how elite athletes like Serena use positive self-talk to enhance performance and recovery, reducing perceived effort by up to 20%. Drawing from timeless lessons in my own books, like the feel-good productivity principle of energize over endure, Serena embodies how ditching complaints turns obstacles into opportunities. She didn't win 23 Grand Slams by moaning about sore muscles. She celebrated what her body could achieve, inspiring millions, including me, to do the same. If she can push through without a peep, imagine what we can do in our everyday wellness routines. So, what lessons can we pull from all this for sustainable health? The big one is mindset shifts. Instead of complaining about what you have to do, focus on why it feels good. For workouts, reframe "this run is exhausting" to "this is building my stamina for that hike I love." For diets, swap "I can't eat junk" for "I'm choosing foods that make me feel alive." This ties into the core lessons from my productivity philosophy. Habits stick when they're enjoyable, not obligatory. Another key, consistency over perfection. Complaining often stems from all or nothing thinking, like "I missed one gym day, so I'm a failure." But sustainable health is about progress, not flawlessness. Studies from the American Journal of Health Promotion show that compassionate self-talk leads to better adherence to fitness goals, reducing dropout rates by 40%. To make this actionable, because theory without practice is like a gym membership you never use, let's introduce body gratitude scans. This is a daily ritual I swear by, and it's simple enough for even the busiest days. Set aside 2-3 minutes, maybe during your morning coffee or before bed, to scan your body mentally and celebrate what it can do, not what it can't. Start from your toes. "Thanks, feet, for carrying me through that walk today." Move up. Arms, "you're strong enough to hug my loved ones." Brain, "you're sharp and creative." Jot it down if you like, or just think it. Research from the Greater Good Science Center at UC Berkeley shows that body-focused gratitude reduces stress and improves body image, making you more motivated for healthy habits. I do this after tough workouts, and it flips my energy from drained to delighted. Try it for a week. You'll be amazed how it silences those inner complaints. There you have it, friend. Health hacks without the hassle, powered by a complaint-free mindset. We've related to the wellness struggles, laughed at my veggie comedy hour, and drawn inspiration from Serena's unbreakable spirit. Remember, your body isn't a battleground, it's your ally. By ditching the gripes, you're not just building a healthier you, you're unlocking that feel-good energy for everything else in life. What's one thing your body did today that you're grateful for? Hold on to that as we head into the next chapter, where we'll tackle work and productivity without the whining. Let's keep this momentum going.
Chapter 7. The Wealth of Non-Complaining. Financial freedom starts in your head. Hey friend, if you've been with me this far on our Never Complain adventure, you've probably noticed how ditching the gripes can supercharge everything from your brain to your relationships. But what about your wallet? Yep, we're diving into the money side of things today because, let's face it, financial stress is a complaint magnet. "I'm always broke," "bills are killing me," or "why can't I afford that dream vacation?" These whines don't just feel heavy. They actively block the path to abundance. As someone who's built a multi-million-pound business from scratch while juggling med school debt, I can tell you firsthand that financial freedom isn't just about spreadsheets and side hustles. It starts in your head. Get ready to reframe your money moans into a mindset that attracts wealth. Let's unpack this, shall we? I'll kick things off with my own financial oops moment, because nothing builds trust like admitting your screw-ups. Back in my early 20s, fresh out of med school, I was drowning in student loans. We're talking over 50,000 pounds of debt staring me in the face. Instead of channeling that energy into action, I spent months, maybe years, complaining about it to anyone who'd listen. These loans are a nightmare. How am I supposed to build anything with this anchor around my neck? I'd vent to friends over cheap pints, feeling that temporary camaraderie, but getting nowhere. It delayed my side hustle dreams big time. I could have started my YouTube channel or online courses way earlier, but the constant whining kept me in victim mode, convinced opportunities were out of reach. It wasn't until I shifted to a non-complaining mindset, focusing on what I could control, like small freelance gigs, that things took off. Fast forward a few years, and those same side hustles turned into a thriving business. Lesson: complaining about money doesn't pay the bills. It just keeps you broke longer. If you're a creator, freelancer, or anyone chasing financial independence, this hits home, right? You're hustling on platforms like YouTube, Etsy, or Upwork, dreaming of that passive income stream, but then the complaints creep in. Clients are so flaky. Why is everyone else monetizing faster than me? Or taxes are eating my profits alive. It's relatable because in the gig economy, uncertainty is the name of the game. A study from the Financial Health Network shows that over 60% of freelancers report high stress from irregular income, often leading to a cycle of negativity that stifles creativity and opportunity. I've been there, comparing my fledgling content empire to overnight successes on social media, only to realize that complaining was blinding me to the small wins, like that first affiliate check or a viral video. But enough relatability. Let's inject some entertainment to keep things light. Enter my buddy Raj, a freelance graphic designer with a flair for the dramatic. Raj was the king of bill complaints. These utilities are robbing me blind. How am I supposed to save when everything costs an arm and a leg? He'd moan about it endlessly, turning every coffee catch-up into a pity party. One day, fed up with his own vibe, he decided to get creative. He bought this ridiculous oversized piggy bank, think cartoon pig with googly eyes, and turned it into his complaint converter. Every time a money gripe popped up, he'd write it on a slip of paper, but then flip it. On the back, he'd jot a motivational note or a tiny action step like, instead of complaining about bills, invest 10 pounds in a stock app today. He'd drop it in the piggy bank with a coin. It started as a joke, but soon it became this hilarious ritual. We'd laugh as he shook the pig, reading out gems like, "Bills suck, but hey, that means I have a roof over my head. Time to freelance an extra hour." Months later, he smashed the pig open, dramatically of course, and found enough saved for a mini vacation. Raj's piggy bank saga is still our go-to story for laughs, proving that a dash of whimsy can turn financial whining into wealth-building fun. Now for the inspiration, because if we're talking money mindsets, who better than the Oracle of Omaha himself, Warren Buffett? This guy didn't amass a $100 billion fortune by complaining about market crashes or economic woes. Nope. Buffett's timeless wisdom is all about focusing on solutions over shortages. In his famous letters to Berkshire Hathaway shareholders, he emphasizes long-term thinking and gratitude for opportunities. The stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. Instead of griping about what he lacked, Buffett honed in on value, spotting undervalued companies and compounding gains patiently. It's inspiring stuff, backed by his track record. While others panicked during recessions, he bought low and built empires. This ties right into the feel-good productivity lessons from my books. Gratitude isn't fluffy, it's a magnet for abundance. Psychological research from Harvard Business Review supports this. People with an abundance mindset, focusing on possibilities rather than scarcity, are 31% more likely to achieve financial goals, as it opens doors to networking, innovation, and risk-taking. Speaking of lessons, the big one here is that gratitude attracts opportunity. When you stop complaining about money, you free up mental space to notice the wins, that unexpected client inquiry or the free online course that levels up your skills. It's like upgrading your internal software. Complaints install bugs that crash your progress, while gratitude runs a smooth, opportunity-attracting program. I've seen it in my own journey and in the creators I coach. Those who reframe "I'm broke" to "I'm building" end up with fuller bank accounts and happier lives. To make this actionable, because theory without practice is just hot air, let's introduce the Abundance Audit. It's a simple, powerful exercise to track wins, not woes, and build that wealth mindset. For the next week, at the end of each day, grab your journal or notes app and list 3 financial wins, no matter how small. Could be I saved 5 pounds by packing lunch, landed a new client lead, or even learned about index funds from a podcast. Then add 1 abundance reframe. Take a potential complaint like rent is too high and flip it. This motivates me to negotiate a raise. Review at weekend. You'll be amazed how this shifts your focus from scarcity to possibility. I do a version of this monthly, and it's been key to scaling my business without the burnout. There you have it, friend. The wealth of non-complaining, unlocked. We've related to those freelancer fears, laughed at Raj's piggy bank antics, and drawn inspiration from Buffett's billionaire blueprint. Remember, financial freedom isn't about luck. It's about choosing abundance over complaints. In the next chapter, we'll tackle how this mindset plays out in your career. For now, what's one money win you're grateful for today? Let's build that empire one positive thought at a time.
Chapter 8. Global Gripes. Never complain in a world of chaos. Hey friend, if you've made it this far in our Never Complain adventure, give yourself a pat on the back. We've tackled the brain science, relationships, and even those pesky work woes. But now we're zooming out to the big picture, the chaotic world we all live in. In an era of constant news alerts, climate crises, political turmoil, and yes, pandemics, it's easy to feel like complaining is the only sane response. How can I not moan about this mess, you might think? Trust me, I've been there. But as someone who's built a life around feel-good productivity, I've learned that griping about global issues doesn't change the world. It just drains your energy. Instead, what if we channeled that frustration into something powerful? Let's explore how to stay positive amid the chaos, drawing from my own experiences and some timeless wisdom. By the end, you'll have tools to turn overwhelm into action, all while keeping things lighthearted and inspiring. Let me start with a personal reflection that might hit home if you're one of those socially conscious souls who can't scroll past a headline without feeling the weight of the world. During the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, I found myself in a complaint spiral that could have rivaled any doom and gloom podcast. As a former doctor turned YouTuber, I was glued to the news, case numbers climbing, lockdowns dragging on, and the sheer uncertainty of it all. This is insane. Why isn't the government doing more? And don't get me started on the toilet paper hoarders, I'd rant to myself, and sometimes to my camera, because content creation never sleeps. It felt justified. After all, the world was literally on fire, or at least on pause. But here's what I realized. All that complaining was paralyzing me. It sapped my motivation, making it hard to focus on my work or help others. Then something shifted. I decided to reframe. Instead of moaning about the chaos, I focused on what I could control. That led to creating helpful content, videos on productivity during lockdowns, mental health tips, and even fun challenges to keep spirits up. Not only did it help my audience, but it boosted my own sense of purpose. Suddenly, the pandemic wasn't just a complaint fest. It was an opportunity to contribute. If you're feeling overwhelmed by today's headlines, be it climate change, inequality, or global conflicts, you're not alone. A study from the Pew Research Center shows that over 60% of adults feel exhausted by news overload, often leading to what psychologists call compassion fatigue. It's relatable because we're all wired to care, but caring without action just turns into endless gripes. Now for a dose of entertainment to cut through the heaviness. Because let's face it, the world is chaotic enough without us taking ourselves too seriously. Enter my hilarious battle with doom scrolling, that addictive habit of endlessly swiping through bad news on your phone.
Picture this. It's 2020, I'm in my London flat, and I've just spent an hour scrolling Twitter absorbing every dire update. My mind starts spinning it into a parody news show with over-the-top commentary. In my head, I'm the host. Welcome to Ali's Apocalypse Hour. Tonight's top story: squirrels are hoarding nuts because even they know the end is nigh. And in weather, more rain, because why not add flooding to the mix? I narrated out loud, exaggerating the absurdity until I was cracking myself up. One night I got so into it that I accidentally live-streamed a snippet on Instagram, me in pajamas doing a fake anchor voice about the great mask debate of our time. Viewers thought it was intentional comedy, and it went mildly viral. Laughter ensued, and suddenly, doom scrolling didn't feel so doomy. It was a ridiculous reminder that humor can deflate the balloon of global complaints. If you've ever caught yourself spiraling into a mental monologue about world events with dramatic sighs, try turning it into your own parody. It's entertaining, it lightens the load, and hey, it might even make for a good TikTok. But let's pivot to inspiration, because if anyone embodies never complain in the face of global chaos, it's Nelson Mandela. The man spent 27 years in prison under apartheid, enduring unimaginable hardships, isolation, hard labor, and the constant threat of despair. Yet, as he details in his autobiography, Long Walk to Freedom, Mandela chose not to complain. Instead, he focused on education, building relationships with guards, and envisioning a better future. He wrote, "I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it." When he emerged, he didn't lead with bitterness, he led with reconciliation, becoming South Africa's first post-apartheid president and a global icon of peace. His story, backed by insights from positive psychology, shows that refusing to complain isn't about denial, it's about preserving your inner strength for change. Research from the University of Pennsylvania echoes this. People who channel adversity into purposeful action, like Mandela, report higher life satisfaction and resilience. It's a timeless lesson that ties into the core of my books. Feel-good productivity isn't just about personal wins. It's about using your energy to make a dent in the world's chaos, one positive step at a time. So what lessons can we pull from this? The big one is to channel your energy into action rather than complaints. Complaining about global issues might feel cathartic, but it often leads to helplessness, a state psychologists call an external locus of control, where you believe change is out of your hands. Flip it to an internal locus by asking, what can I do right now? This isn't about ignoring problems, it's about empowering yourself. In my experience, this shift turned my pandemic complaints into a thriving online community, proving that small actions compound into big impact. And speaking of action, let's get practical with some takeaways you can implement today. Enter the impact challenges, a simple framework to turn global gripes into small local contributions. Here's how it works. Next time a world event triggers a complaint, say, "Climate change is out of control." Pause and identify one tiny action you can take. Make it specific, achievable, and tied to your strengths. For example, complaint: the environment is doomed with all this plastic waste. Impact challenge: commit to a plastic-free week. Swap out single-use items in your home and share your progress on social media to inspire others. Complaint: inequality is everywhere. It's so unfair. Impact challenge: volunteer 1 hour a week at a local food bank or donate to a cause, tracking how it makes you feel more connected and less helpless. Set a timer for 10 minutes to brainstorm your challenge, then schedule it in your calendar. Pro tip: use the productivity apps I rave about in my books, like Notion or Todoist. Studies from Harvard Business Review show that such micro actions build momentum, reducing overwhelm and increasing a sense of agency. I've done this myself, turning my pandemic complaints into charity streams that raised funds for healthcare workers, and it feels way better than scrolling in frustration. There you have it, friend, navigating global chaos without the complaints. We've related to the overwhelm, laughed at my parody news fails, and drawn inspiration from Mandela's unbreakable spirit. Remember, the world might be messy, but your response to it, that's where the magic happens. By channeling energy into action, you're not just surviving the chaos, You're thriving in it, and maybe even changing it. What's your first impact challenge going to be? Let's turn those gripes into good vibes. Up next, we'll wrap up with how to make never complain a lifelong habit. Stay tuned.
Chapter 9. The Long Game. Building a Complaint-Free Legacy. Hey friend, if you've made it this far in our Never Complained adventure, give yourself a massive pat on the back. We've hacked our brains, strengthened our relationships, tackled global chaos, and so much more. But here's the real talk. Turning never complain into a lifelong habit isn't about perfection. It's about playing the long game. Life's gonna throw curveballs, big ones like job losses or personal setbacks, and small ones like a flat tire on a Monday morning. I've had my fair share of relapses, and trust me, they're normal. In this chapter, we'll explore how to sustain this mindset through the ups and downs so you can build a legacy of positivity that outlasts any temporary gripe. Because at the end of the day, the feel-good productivity I've talked about in my books isn't a sprint. It's a marathon that shapes who you become and the impact you leave behind. Let's start with a confession, because if there's one thing I've learned, it's that vulnerability builds connection. Back when I first committed to ditching complaints, inspired by that complaint audit we did in the intro, I thought I had it all figured out. Easy peasy, I told myself. No more moaning about paperwork or rainy commutes. And for a while, it worked. But then came the relapses. Oh boy, did they come. During the early days of building my YouTube channel, I hit a rough patch. Videos weren't getting views, algorithms were playing games, and I was juggling it all with my doctor shifts. One evening, after a particularly grueling day, I caught myself venting to my girlfriend, now wife, about how unfair it all was. Why isn't this working? Everyone else seems to blow up overnight. It felt like slipping back into an old, comfy pair of shoes. Familiar, but ultimately uncomfortable. The guilt hit hard, but it was a wake-up call. Relapses aren't failures. They're data points for growth. If you're reading this and fearing you'll backslide, maybe after a tough week at work or a family argument, know that you're not alone. Studies from habit formation experts like James Clear, shout out to Atomic Habits, which has influenced my own productivity philosophy, show that 80% of people experience setbacks when building new behaviors. The key? Get curious, not critical, and keep going. Relatable, right? We've all been there. That moment when you're cruising along, feeling like a positivity pro, only for life to test you. Maybe it's the promotion that didn't come through, or the endless cycle of parenting chaos where you think, why does everything have to be so hard? For readers like you, ambitious go-getters chasing dreams while balancing real life, this fear of backsliding is real. It's why I've designed my books and courses around sustainable systems, not quick fixes. Complaining might creep back during stress, but recognizing it as a temporary detour, not a dead end, is what keeps you on track. Now for some entertainment to lighten the mood, because who says self-improvement can't come with the side of laughs? Let me share my epic complaint comeback during a live stream gone wrong. Picture this. It's 2020, peak pandemic, and I'm hosting a YouTube live on productivity hacks. I've got thousands tuning in, chat buzzing, everything's set. Or so I thought. 5 minutes in, my internet decides to throw a tantrum. Buffering, freezing, the works. Come on, not now, I mutter under my breath. But as the tech fails pile up, audio drops, screen shares vanish, my inner complainer stages a full rebellion. This stupid Wi-Fi, why does this always happen to me? The universe hates me today. I blurted out live on air. The chat explodes with laughing emojis. Viewers are cracking up at my meltdown. One comment. Ali, isn't this the never complain guy? I froze, then burst out laughing myself. It turned into an impromptu lesson. I reframed it on the spot, saying, all right, folks, this is real life. Let's turn this glitch into a teachable moment on resilience. We ended up with the most engaged stream ever, all because I owned the slip-up with humor. It's a self-deprecating reminder that even experts like me mess up, but laughing at it diffuses the power of the complaint. Shifting gears to inspiration, let's draw from the timeless wisdom of Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher who was born a slave yet rose to influence emperors. In his Enchiridion, he drops this mic drop truth. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Epictetus emphasized the dichotomy of control. We can't control events, but we can control our reactions. He lived this out, enduring hardship without complaint, focusing instead on inner freedom. This ties beautifully into building a legacy. Imagine the ripple effect if you choose positivity over whining. Your kids learn resilience from watching you, your team at work gets inspired by your energy, and over time, you create a life story worth telling. It's like the compound interest of habits I talk about in my productivity frameworks. Small daily choices accumulate into a legacy of impact. Epictetus didn't just survive, he thrived by mastering his mindset, proving that positivity isn't fluffy, it's foundational for enduring success. The big lesson here? Your legacy is built on positivity, one reaction at a time. Complaining erodes it, like termites in a wooden house, subtle at first but destructive long-term. Positivity, on the other hand, constructs something lasting, stronger relationships, better health, and a sense of purpose. From my own journey, transitioning from medicine to entrepreneurship, I've seen how ditching complaints opened doors I never imagined, like building a community of millions around feel-good productivity. It's not about never feeling frustrated. It's about channeling that energy into creation, not criticism. To make this stick for the long haul, let's equip you with actionable takeaways, your very own lifetime toolkit. Think of it as a personalized arsenal to sustain your complaint-free life. First, leverage apps for gentle nudges. I love using Habetica or Streaks to track no complaint days, turning it into a fun game with rewards. Treat yourself to that fancy coffee after a week. Set reminders on your phone. A daily pop-up saying reframe or release to catch gripes early. This mirrors the reflective practices in my books, helping you iterate like a pro. Finally, community is key. Surround yourself with positivity boosters. Join or create a group, online or in person, for accountability, like a gratitude gang where you share wins weekly. I've done this with my Academy members, and it turns solo efforts into shared victories. Start small. Text a friend one gratitude a day and watch the momentum build. There you have it, friend, the long game decoded. We've related to those backslide fears, laughed at my live stream fiasco, drawn inspiration from Epictetus, and loaded you up your toolkit for a complaint-free legacy. Remember, this isn't about being flawless. It's about progress that compounds into something extraordinary. As we wrap up this book, carry this mindset forward. Your future self and the world around you will thank you. What's one tool from the toolkit you're excited to try first? Let's build that legacy, one positive reaction at a time.
Chapter 10. Your Complaint-Free Future. Stories of Transformation. Hey there, friend. We've come a long way together, haven't we? From uncovering the brain's sneaky love affair with whining in Chapter 1, to reframing global chaos in Chapter 8, and even turning relationship gripes into gratitude gold in Chapter 5. This book has been all about ditching the complaint habit for a life that's more energized, connected, and downright joyful. If you've been following along, maybe even trying out those complaint audits or appreciation days, you're already on the path to feel-good productivity, that sweet spot where effort feels effortless and positivity powers your days. But as we wrap things up, I don't want to just leave you with theory. I want to paint a picture of what's possible. In this final chapter, we'll celebrate real transformations drawn from stories I've heard from my community, with a few hypothetical twists for relatability. Laugh at some wild what-if scenarios, get inspired by timeless heroes, and seal the deal with a personalized pledge to keep you complaint-free for the long haul. Ready to envision your brighter future? Let's dive in. First, let's make this relatable by mirroring the aspirations I know so many of you have. Whether you're a busy professional chasing that promotion, a student juggling exams and side hustles, or someone just trying to build better habits amid life's curveballs. I've crowdsourced stories from my newsletter subscribers and YouTube community over the years, and they've been a goldmine of inspiration. Take Sarah, a 28-year-old marketing exec from London.
Names changed for privacy, but the vibes are real. Sarah used to complain nonstop about her overwhelming workload. "These deadlines are killing me. Why can't my team pull their weight?" It was draining her energy and straining her relationships, much like my own junior doctor days. But after stumbling upon one of my videos on reframing negativity, she tried the complaint audit from our intro chapter. A week in, she realized 80% of her gripes were about things she could control or reframe. Fast forward 6 months, Sarah's now leading her team's wellness initiatives, has more time for her passion project, a food blog, and even landed a flexible remote setup. Stopping the complaints didn't change my job, but it changed how I show up, and that changed everything. Sound like your dream? It could be, because when you stop complaining, you start creating. Or consider Mike, a dad in his 40s from California who was deep in family drama mode. "My kids never listen, and my wife is always on her phone." He'd vent to anyone who would listen. Relatable if you've ever felt the weight of parenting or partnership in our always-on world, right? Mike picked up the appreciation dates from Chapter 5 and turned them into a family ritual. Instead of griping over dinner, they'd share wins from the day. The shift? His home went from tension central to a hub of laughter and support. Mike emailed me saying, "It's like we unlocked a new level of connection, and I've got more mental space for my freelance graphic design gigs now." These aren't fairy tales, they're everyday transformations that echo the lessons from my books, like in Feel Good Productivity, where mindset shifts lead to sustainable success. If Sarah and Mike can do it, so can you. It's about turning inward aspirations into outward actions. Now for some entertainment to keep things light, because who says wrapping up a book can't be fun? Let's play with a few what-if scenarios of a complaint-free world. Imagine waking up to a Monday morning where instead of groaning about the alarm, you bounce out of bed thinking, "Sweet, another shot at making today awesome." Traffic jam? No problem. It's podcast time, baby. Picture your office or Zoom call transformed. Colleagues swapping solutions instead of sob stories, turning meetings into idea fests. And on a global scale, what if world leaders ditched complaints about each other and focused on collaborative wins? We'd have peace treaties over tea, not Twitter wars. Okay, that's a bit utopian, but here's a hilarious one from my own imagination. What if complaining was taxable? Every, this weather costs you a quid, funneled into a global fun fund for spontaneous holidays. I'd be broke for my old habits, but think of the adventures. These silly what-ifs always make me laugh, but they highlight a truth. A complaint-free life isn't about ignoring reality, it's about amplifying the good, creating ripple effects of joy that spread like wildfire. Speaking of inspiration, let's montage some timeless heroes who've risen above complaints to change the world, tying back to the Stoics, survivors, and leaders we've touched on throughout this book. Remember Marcus Aurelius from our intro, journaling his way through empire building without a whine? Or Nelson Mandela in Chapter 8, who spent 27 years in prison, yet emerged without bitterness, leading South Africa to reconciliation. Add to that Viktor Frankl from Chapter 5, who, amid the horrors of Nazi concentration camps, chose meaning over misery in Man's Search for Meaning. And let's not forget modern icons like Malala Yousafzai, who, after surviving an assassination attempt, didn't complain about injustice. She channeled it into advocacy for girls' education, becoming the youngest Nobel laureate. These aren't superhumans, they're people who understood the ripple effect of mindset, a key lesson we've explored. Your no-complaint attitude doesn't just transform you, it inspires others, creates positive environments, and even sparks societal change. As I've learned in my own journey from doctor to creator, one reframed thought can lead to a video that helps thousands. Imagine what yours could do. That's the beauty of it all. The lessons we've learned aren't isolated, they create waves. By spotting triggers, Chapter 1, building gratitude muscles throughout, and channeling energy into action, like in Chapter 8, you set off a chain reaction. Your calmer demeanor rubs off on friends, boosting their productivity. Your positive home life strengthens family bonds. And who knows, your small acts might even influence bigger systems. It's the ultimate feel-good productivity hack. Mindset as a force multiplier. To make this your reality, here's your actionable takeaway.
the Never Complain Pledge. This isn't some rigid contract. It's a personalized commitment to ongoing growth tailored to you. Grab a notebook or your phone and write your own version. Start with I, your name, pledge to catch complaints before they take root, reframe them into opportunities, and focus on gratitude and action. For the next period, like 30 days, I'll do daily gratitude journal and one impact challenge per week. Sign it, date it, and maybe share it with an accountability buddy. Heck, tag me on social if you're feeling bold. Review it monthly, celebrate wins, and adjust as needed. I've got my own pledge on my desk, a reminder of how far I've come from that moaning junior doctor. Friend, as we close this book, remember, a complaint-free future isn't about perfection, it's about progress. You've got the tools, the stories, and the inspiration. Now, go build that life you aspire to. What's your first step? Drop me a line or share in the comments. I'd love to hear your transformation story. Here's to fewer gripes, more growth, and a whole lot of feel-good vibes. You've got this.
Conclusion. Embrace the joy. Living complaint-free forever. Hey there, friend. We've made it to the end of our adventure together. And what a ride it's been. From dissecting the brain science of whining to navigating love, work, and even global chaos without a single gripe, we've unpacked why complaining is such a sneaky thief of joy and how to kick it to the curb for good. If you've been nodding along, laughing at my mishaps, or jotting down those actionable hacks, then pat yourself on the back. You're already on the path to a complaint-free life. But before we part ways, let me share a heartfelt reflection on how this mindset has utterly transformed my world. And trust me, if a former paperwork moaning doctor can do it, so can you. Looking back, I can pinpoint the exact moment this never complain philosophy clicked for me. It was during the height of the pandemic. You know, that chaotic time when the world felt like it was unraveling faster than a cheap sweater. I was juggling my YouTube channel, online courses, and a lingering sense of overwhelm. And boy, did I complain. Why is everything so uncertain? This lockdown is killing my productivity, I'd mutter to myself while doom scrolling the news. But then, inspired by the Stoics and positive psychology gems we've explored, I flipped the script. Instead of venting, I channeled that energy into creating helpful content, videos on remote work tips, feel-good productivity hacks, and even virtual hangouts for my community. Fast forward a few years, and that shift didn't just save my sanity, it supercharged my life. My channel grew, I wrote books, like this one, and most importantly, I started waking up excited rather than exhausted. It's the ultimate proof of what I've preached throughout my work. Feel-good productivity isn't about grinding harder. It's about choosing joy, reframing setbacks, and turning gripes into growth. This mindset has helped me build a business, nurture relationships, and even enjoy those rainy London commutes. Okay, mostly. If it's done that for me, imagine what it could do for you, whether you're a busy parent, an ambitious entrepreneur, or just someone tired of the daily grind stealing your spark. Now, for that final laugh I promised, because no Ali Abdaal book ends without a chuckle. Remember my friend Alex from the intro, the one who complained his way out of a date? Well, fast forward to last year. He's now happily married, but not before one last epic complaint fail. At his wedding rehearsal, nerves got the better of him, and he started moaning about the venue's subpar lighting. "This is going to ruin the photos," he whined to his fiancée. She, being the wise soul she is, pulled out a complaint jar. Yep, the same one we joked about in Chapter 5, and made him drop in £1 for every gripe. By the end of the night, the jar was overflowing, and we all ended up using the money for an impromptu pizza party. Alex laughed hardest of all, admitting it was the best reminder that complaints don't just drain you, they can turn special moments into silly spectacles. Moral of the story? Life's too short for whining, especially when pizza's on the line. But let's get inspired one last time, drawing from the timeless lessons that have threaded through this book. Think back to Marcus Aurelius, Viktor Frankl, Nelson Mandela, and Martin Seligman. These giants didn't just survive adversity, they thrived by choosing not to complain. Frankl, in the horrors of a concentration camp, found meaning in small acts of kindness. Mandela emerged from 27 years of imprisonment not bitter, but ready to unite a nation. Their secret?
Joy is a choice, not a circumstance. As Seligman teaches in Learned Optimism, we can all rewire our brains to default to positivity. And tying it to the lessons from my books, like Feel Good Productivity, remember, when you stop complaining, you unlock energy for what truly matters: creating, connecting, and contributing. It's not about ignoring problems, it's about facing them with a smile and a strategy. So here's my invitation to you. Join the Never Complain Club. It's not some exclusive society with secret handshakes, though that could be fun. It's a mindset community we're building together. Start by committing to one complaint-free day a week, using the tools we've covered: the complaint audit, gratitude journaling, appreciation dates, impact challenges, you name it. Track your wins, celebrate the small victories, and watch how it ripples into every corner of your life. And for that inspiring call to action, share your story online. Post about your complaint-free breakthroughs on social media, tag me at Ali Abdul, and use hashtag #NeverComplainClub. Maybe you reframed a tough workday into a learning opportunity, or turned a family gripe into a gratitude fest. Your story could inspire someone else to break free, creating a community ripple that turns individual joy into collective positivity. I've seen it happen in my online circles. One person's win sparks a chain reaction of motivation. Friend, as we close this chapter and this book, remember, joy is a choice you make every day. You've got the tools, the laughs, and the inspiration. Now go embrace it. Life's too awesome to spend it complaining. Here's to your complaint-free forever. Let's make it epic. What's your first step going to be? Drop me a line. I'd love to hear it. Until next time, stay productive, stay positive, and above all, stay joyful.
Here is a chapter-by-chapter summary of The Complaint Trap, designed to give you the book's core lessons and takeaways in minutes. Introduction. The Complaint Trap. Why we're all addicted and how to break free. Main idea. Complaining is a widespread, addictive habit that feels good in the moment but ultimately drains our energy, joy, and productivity. While it creates a temporary sense of connection, it traps us in a cycle of negativity. Key lesson. We have the power to break free from this trap not by ignoring problems, but by changing our interpretation and reaction to them. Drawing on Stoic philosophy, the author posits that rejecting our sense of injury can make the injury itself disappear. Actionable takeaway. Start a complaint audit. For 1 week, track every complaint you think or say. Note what it's about, how it feels, and how you could reframe it into a positive or neutral observation. This reveals how much mental energy complaining consumes and is the first step to letting it go. Chapter 1. The Science of Whining. Why your brain loves to complain and how to hack it. Main idea. Our brains are hardwired to enjoy complaining. Venting releases dopamine, the brain's feel-good chemical, which creates a quick sense of reward and social bonding. However, chronic complaining can physically alter the brain, shrinking the hippocampus, the area responsible for problem-solving and memory. Key lesson. To stop complaining, you must first identify your personal complaint triggers. Common triggers include fatigue, hunger, hanger, social media comparison, and unmet expectations. Awareness is the first step to intercepting the negative cycle. Actionable takeaway. Implement a 5-minute gratitude journaling ritual. Each day, write down 3 things you are grateful for. This simple, science-backed practice rewires your brain's neural pathways, strengthens your prefrontal cortex, the positivity center, and builds your gratitude muscle. Chapter 2. From moan to momentum, turning complaints into superpowers. Main idea. Your biggest complaints are not roadblocks. They're signposts pointing toward opportunities for growth, innovation, and change. They reveal what isn't working and where your energy should be focused. Key lesson. Shift from a victim mode, where things happen to you, to a creator mode, where you shape your response. Instead of letting a complaint drain you, ask yourself what it's signaling and how you can use that energy to create a solution. Actionable takeaway. Use the complaint flip worksheet. Create 2 columns. In the first, list a complaint. For example, "This task is so boring." In the second, flip it into an opportunity or a positive reframe. Completing this will build my discipline and free up my evening for something fun. Chapter 3. The Complaint-Free Social Circle. How your friends and frenemies shape your mindset. Main idea. Complaining is highly contagious. The negativity of the people you surround yourself with, friends, family, colleagues, and even social media feeds, directly impact your own mindset and energy levels. Key lesson. You must intentionally curate relationships that uplift you. This isn't about cutting people off, but about consciously spending more time with those who focus on solutions and gratitude rather than problems and gripes. Actionable takeaway. Conduct a vibe check on your social circle. List the people you interact with most and assess whether they generally energize or drain you. For draining interactions, consider limiting your time or consciously steering conversations in a more positive direction by starting appreciation chains. Chapter 4. Work woes be gone. Never complain your way to career bliss. Main idea. In the professional world, complaining deflates your value, repels opportunities, and keeps you stuck. Your biggest workplace frustrations are often the exact areas where you have the greatest potential to innovate. Key lesson. Use your work complaints as fuel for innovation. Instead of venting about an inefficient system, a difficult boss, or a tedious task, ask, "How can I fix this?" This proactive mindset is the foundation of career growth and success. Actionable takeaway. Create productivity pivots. List your top 3 work gripes. For each one, reframe it as a challenge and pair it with a specific productivity tool to solve it. For example, pivot, "My inbox is overwhelming," to "I will master my inbox by batching emails twice a day using the Eisenhower matrix." Chapter 5. Love and complaints. Building relationships that don't drain you. Main idea. In personal relationships, complaining, criticism, and contempt are toxic. They create distance and slowly erode the foundation of love and friendship by focusing on flaws instead of strengths. Key lesson. The antidote to complaining in relationships is to actively foster empathy over criticism. Most complaints arise from unmet needs. By seeking to understand the other person's perspective and communicating your own needs constructively, you build connection instead of conflict. Actionable takeaway. Schedule regular appreciation dates. Set aside dedicated, complaint-free time with a partner, friend, or family member to explicitly share things you appreciate about each other. This simple ritual strengthens bonds and rewires the relationship dynamic toward positivity. Chapter 6. Health hacks without the hassle. Ditch complaints for a feel-good body and mind. Main idea. Complaining about your health, diet, or exercise routine, like "I hate the gym" or "this diet is torture," creates a negative feedback loop that makes you less likely to stick with healthy habits. Key lesson. Shift your mindset from obligation to opportunity. Instead of focusing on what you have to do, reframe it as something you get to do to invest in your well-being. Focus on how healthy choices make you feel good, not on the hassle. Actionable takeaway. Practice daily body gratitude scans. Take 2 to 3 minutes to mentally scan your body and thank each part for what it allows you to do. Like, "Thank you, legs, for carrying me on my walk today." This practice improves body image and motivation. Chapter 7. The Wealth of Non-Complaining. Financial freedom starts in your head. Main idea. Complaining about money, debt, bills, low income keeps you locked in a scarcity mindset. This negative focus blinds you to opportunities and drains the creative energy needed to build wealth. Gratitude attracts abundance. Key lesson. An abundance mindset begins with gratitude. When you stop complaining about what you lack, you free up the mental bandwidth to recognize and act on financial opportunities, no matter how small. Gratitude attracts abundance. Actionable takeaway. Conduct a weekly abundance audit.
Each day, list 3 small financial wins, like saved money on lunch or found a new freelance lead. This practice trains your brain to focus on possibility and progress rather than scarcity and setbacks. Chapter 8. Global gripes. Never complain in a world of chaos. Main idea. In a world filled with negative news and large-scale problems, it's easy to fall into a spiral of complaining. However, this only leads to feelings of helplessness and compassion fatigue. Key lesson. Channel your frustration over global issues into small, meaningful actions. Instead of just complaining about a problem, ask yourself, what is one tiny thing I can do about this right now? This shifts your locus of control from external to internal, turning overwhelm into empowerment. Actionable takeaway. Create personal impact challenges. When a global issue triggers a complaint, link it to a small, achievable action you can take. For example, if you complain about plastic waste, challenge yourself to a plastic-free week. Chapter 9. The long game. Building a complaint-free legacy. Main idea. Making it never complain a lifelong habit isn't about achieving perfection. You will have relapses, especially during times of stress. The goal is progress, not perfection. Key lesson. Your legacy is built on how you react to life's challenges. Relapses are not failures, they're data points for growth. Get curious about what triggered the complaint and use it as a lesson to respond better next time. Actionable takeaway. Build your lifetime toolkit. Use habit tracking apps, set phone reminders to reframe or release, schedule monthly reflection rituals to review progress, and build a positive community for accountability. Chapter 10 and conclusion. Your complaint-free future and embracing the joy. Main idea. A complaint-free life creates a powerful ripple effect, transforming not only your own world, but also inspiring those around you. The book concludes by showcasing stories of transformation and reinforcing that joy is a choice. Key lesson. Living without complaint is the ultimate feel-good productivity hack. It unlocks the mental and emotional energy needed to create, connect, and contribute, allowing you to build a life defined by growth and purpose. Actionable takeaway. Take the Never Complain pledge. Write down a personal commitment to catch, reframe, and release complaints. Share your journey with others to create a community of positivity and accountability. The final call to action is to choose joy every single day.